Alright, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title, today I'll be talking about 10 things I would want to tell my high school self. A little bit about myself. I am in first year university, so I graduated last year in the class of 2018. If you clicked on this video, you're probably in high school looking for some advice, or you're procrastinating and you just somehow fell upon this video, or maybe you clicked on this video just to see what I've got to say. But whatever your reason is, I really hope that you really enjoy this video and take something out of it. But yeah, with that said, let's get started. So my first tip or advice is study to build healthy work ethic. Now that sounds like a lot of hard words combined into one sentence. Yes, there's definitely going to be subjects that you absolutely hate. Maybe you really hate your maths teacher, you really hate writing essays, you just don't see the point of why you should learn about cells. Yes, all of this is true, but this doesn't mean that you should stop trying or stop putting effort. Doing things you don't like is a skill you need in the future. Building these work ethics will help you to push through these things. And it's true, these subjects or these marks, these numbers, they all don't matter and they all don't last, because outside of high school, that's pretty much behind you, it's gone. But what you're taking with you outside of this school is the work ethic and your attitude towards work. And if your attitude towards work right now is, oh, I don't want to do it, I don't like it, therefore I'm just going to drop everything and not do it, you're going to take that with you in the future. And in the greater world, in jobs, in uni, in friendships, in work, you're going to be presented with a lot of things that you are not going to enjoy or necessarily like, but at least you have that skill of still trying your best. If you really change your attitude and think about that when you're approaching your studies, it will definitely help you a lot. It will definitely change your perspective onto why you're doing things as well. Second advice is enjoy each day as if it was your last. We are so fixed about the goal that we forget about this entire journey, and we kind of just discard that because we just want to get to the goal, which is get out of high school. But if you heard that today was your last day on earth, you would try to make the most out of every single moment you have, and you would start to find joy in the smallest things like eating, or you'd suddenly have this appreciation for nature because you know that it's your last day. Now if you apply that to school and have that mentality that, oh, I'm going to live today to the fullest as if it was my last day, you would try to make the most out of it. You would say thank you to your teachers before you go out of the class. You would talk to that friend that you never did. The environment around you can't change, but the thing you can change is your attitude. And once you change your attitude, your perspective changes as well. And a Bible verse that I really liked was 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 31, which I'll put right here. And it pretty much talks about how whatever you're doing, just do it all for the glory of God. And it's pretty much saying to have a joyful heart when you're doing these things. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to do it. Look, you've been blessed with the opportunity that some people are craving to have. Make the most out of it. Tip number 3, some people weren't born to be scholars. Now this is a very hard fact to accept. This doesn't mean that people weren't born to study or born to learn. Whatever you're doing, you are always bound to learn something and grow. We have all been blessed with different characteristics, different talents, and different gifts. For example, this 9th grade soccer player is failing all his subjects. He tries and tries and tries, but he can't get the mark he wants. He solves the entire maths textbook, still gets a C or a D. Does this mean he sucks? Does this mean that he's not worth it? No. But when he's out in the field, he thrives. He's shooting goals left, right, center, everywhere. At the end of the day, we're also different. I don't specifically remember the Bible verse, so I'm just gonna look on my phone. But the Bible verse is from Romans chapter 12, verses 6 to 8. And it says, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Now, this shows that everyone has their own gift. With that said, tip number 4 is don't be scared to experiment. If you don't experiment, you will never find out what your gift is. If you don't expose yourself to things, new opportunities, activities, you won't find out what you like, what you don't like. I feel like a lot of us, or especially myself, are so scared to go outside your boundaries and experiment new things, go find new things and try new things, because you're so used to your everyday normal routine of being to school, being in an enclosed area at school. But get out of it, get out of school. Who said ever that it's too early to try new things? No one. Don't just dream and say, oh, I'm gonna, go travel and I'm gonna get a job when I get older, when I'm out of high school. No, start now. Start exposing yourself to new things and new opportunities now, because the earlier you start, the more you will know. And use the resources at school. So every subject also offers you a new chance to learn about yourself. And also extracurricular activities, whether it's cheerleading, whether it's band, whatever it is, they all have something to offer. And by you trying that out, you learn so much about yourself. This could also be leadership opportunities. If there's a leadership opportunity, take it, try it, see what kind of leader you are. For me personally, that was music. If I didn't let myself to experiment, I wouldn't have found my passion in playing drums. Or at school, I would love to take videos and photos of my grade or any sort of activity. If I didn't find that love for making videos and love for filming and capturing moments, I wouldn't be speaking to you guys, recording a YouTube video. There's so many opportunities you get as a young high schooler that you might not get in uni. So take it now. Tip number 5. Now this one's gonna be a bit hard. This one's gonna be a bit tough, but this one is communicate with your parents. Now, some people are really good at this. Some families and some people are just open about anything and everything in the world with their parents. Now, for me, that was not really the case. In order for you to have a healthy relationship with your parents, like any other relationship in the world, you need to communicate and you need to really verbalize what you're feeling. And at first, they might not accept it. They might be very awkward with it, especially because it's kind of like out of the blue. But once you start doing that, they start to really empathize with you. And I don't think it's courageous for someone to talk to their parents about expectations or sort of burdens they feel from their parents, because people think it's courageous just because no one does it. At home, we have so many opportunities to talk to your parents, and we really neglect that. We go, okay, never mind, we're just gonna be on my phone, lock myself in the room, go watch YouTube. And then we get upset because we're like, I haven't spoken to my parents in ages and they're telling me off for not doing well in my studies. I think, yes, there is some responsibility in your parents, but also to you, because you are also robbing yourself the opportunity to have this healthy relationship with your parents. Try to speak to your parents, whether it's about school or not. As you build this foundation, as you build a relationship with your parents, that will soon branch out for you to be able to talk about anything with your parents. The next tip, because I forgot what number we're up to, is don't be lazy. Now, there's a very, very thin line between lazy and rest. Rest is good, lazy isn't. We have been, as humans, designed to work. We have been designed to rest, and that is because we have been built in the image of God. Because God worked and God rested. But we have not been designed to be lazy. Now, that is not a characteristic or quality of God, and that reflects upon us, and therefore it's not a characteristic or quality of ourselves as humans. Laziness in the dictionary is defined as unwilling to work or use energy. What does rest mean? I'm gonna look at my phone because I can't memorize this. Rest is cease work or movement in order to relax, sleep, or recover strength. Resting is taking care of your body, is taking care of your mind, your heart. But laziness is actually destroying your mind, destroying your heart and your body, because you're defeating the purpose of what we have been built to do, which was to rest and work. If you make laziness into a habit and sooner or later a lifestyle, that's gonna live with you for the rest of your life. It's never too early to make healthy habits. It's never too early to destroy habits as well. So if you feel like you're in a place where you're just lazy and you just don't want to do anything, I think we need to change that, because if you be lazy now, don't expect yourself to not be lazy in 10 years' time. In Proverbs chapter 16, verse 27, it says, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle lips are his mouthpiece. What does that mean? If you're being lazy and you're just lying down, not doing anything, is the chance for the enemy to come into you. Enemy will just go straight in, because he can tell that you have so much space within your heart. You have so much space and room and just emptiness that he's just gonna take on that opportunity to plant seeds within your heart. That's gonna eventually grow to become sin. The next tip is choose love, not competition. Now, we always get the age-old question, oh, what did you get for your maths exam? What did you get for your English mark? Competition results in comparison. You're going to start comparing yourself to others about their marks. You're going to start comparing yourself in terms of how well you did or not. And then you're going to see these people not as friends, but you're going to see them as foe. Are you going to have that attitude to break someone down, to get on top of the ladder at the cost of someone else's loss? And it's also not good. You're going to see your best friend as your competitor. And seeing them as a competitor is only going to distance your relationship with your friend, because your heart is no longer out of love, it's out of hatred, it's out of jealousy, it's out of envy. In Hebrews chapter 10 verses 24 to 25, it says, "Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. Let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near." Now this is so different to what the world tells us. The world tells us you gotta fight your way up, get that status, that name. But instead of us being motivated to trample others down, the Bible is telling us to motivate other people to do love and to do good. Similarly to that advice, the next one is tea is just temporary satisfaction. Now, if you really want to hear what's the real tea, sis, the real tea is that tea destroys people. Tea is not good for you. Stop trying to get that tea. There is so much power in our words. Your selection of words can really either make or break a friendship. Your selection of words can actually build or tear down a person. And think about it, how is tea going to benefit you at all? You hear so much tea, you hear so much gossip, you hear so much drama. In the moment, it's very satisfactory. It's so good. You're like, oh yes, I'm building friendships out of putting other people down. It's great, so much gossip. But sooner or later, that's gonna only break you down even more. You're just doing yourself harm by putting yourself in situations where you can hear tea or be that person to tell others tea. If you can't say anything good, just don't say anything at all. It says that kind words are like honey. They are sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. It says that in Proverbs. Kind words only does so much good for the body, for the mind, for the spirit, for the heart. But on the other hand, what does gossip do? An evil man sows strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. Wickedness loves company and leads others to sin. So when you have tea, sin loves company. It loves bringing other people to sin with you. Like, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? The next advice is that it's okay not to know. Now, the good old question we get all the time when we're in high school is, what are you gonna do in uni? What are you gonna do as a job? All that good stuff, all that stuff. But it's okay to not know. And the unknown is okay as well. When I was in year 11 or year 12, I just hated the fear of not knowing what was to come. The uncertainty, I really didn't like it. So I decided to make myself a plan. I'm gonna graduate out of high school, I'm gonna take my HSC, I'm gonna get the specific ATAR, I'm gonna go to a specific university, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna go to a specific industry, and I'm gonna thrive off there and earn hundreds of money. Me making that plan gave me so much assurance because I felt like I had a sense of direction. But then God came into my life, fully just smashing that plan down, and he told me, how can the creation know more about itself than God? I thought, oh yeah, okay God, you got me there. It just made me think, I've been building all these things just so I can feel secure. The only place I can find security is in God. It says in the Bible that, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Now hearing this, I was just like, you know what? God, take the wheel. It might seem like the unknown to you, but to God is fully known. He fully knows what he's doing. He's got this pathway ready for you to go through. That doesn't mean that it's always going to be great. It doesn't mean that God's going to take you into seasons of goodness all the time. He's going to take you to lands that flourish, into seasons of dryness, into deserts sometimes, but God will always be there with you, and God is taking you on that journey, onto that plan, in order for you to grow, because he wants to bring out the best out of his creation. And with that said, the last advice that I have to give myself or to you guys is that you have been placed in your specific school for a reason. Don't just think that it was coincidence. Don't just think that it just happened out of nowhere. There's a plan behind it. I heard this really good quote from Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Church, and he was saying this specifically about relationships, but I think it also relates a lot to school, and that is that school can't give you identity. It can't tell you who you are. It can't tell you that you're a bad person. You can't tell you that you suck at studying, so you're just not worth it. School can't give you security. It can't secure you a future. School's not going to make you get out of uni, get a job, get that 6-digit figure. It's not going to happen. School's not going to give you a purpose. Why? Because these things God has already given to you. God has already given you identity, God has already given you a purpose, and God has already given you security. In the school you are right now, it's part of this bigger plan. This is like this tiny little section of this. Don't neglect your school life. Don't neglect, you being placed in school, because you're going to be able to meet specific people. You're going to learn so much things, and it's all going to be a part of that bigger grand plan God has for you. So that's all for today. I really hope you guys felt encouraged or were able to take something out of this video. I hope somehow, even if it's one person, I really hope that this really does encourage someone out there, and that you feel more empowered and have a different perspective on the way you look at school. So yeah, with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. Love you all, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.